What is your framework for facing the hidden and rejected aspects of yourself that lead to self-sabotage, anxiety, and depression? I think we kind of talked about it already, but let's have it again.
What is the framework?
Yeah. What is your personal framework when you work with somebody who has hidden and rejected aspects of yourself? It's basically probably shadow work. I'm sure that's where you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm self-sabotaging. I have anxiety, depression. I can't seem to change it. I can't face it. What do I do?
Assume that you don't want to, step one. Start to see what you're getting out of it. Step two, you are getting something beneficial out of that behavior. And so what you're getting out of it is probably something that you needed in order to fit in or survive in your family system growing up. It's very likely that you had to adapt that way of being in order to fit a narrative or a story that one or both of your caretakers held of you. The next thing is beginning to go through, that process of admission. So get a really good therapist, counselor, psychologist, coach that is able to hold you through the process of turning towards the disowned, unliked parts of you. And I really mean having a guide through that is important. Anytime you're doing shadow work, you should be doing that in tandem with a skilled practitioner.
I'm so glad you said that because there's so much stuff on Instagram about do your shadow work and well, good luck.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. I mean, and look, I think it's a Nietzsche quote where, it's like, you should look in the abyss to see the monster, but don't look for too long. Otherwise you'll become it. There is a risk in shadow work in the sense that if you aren't doing it in a skilled way, in a conscious way with somebody, the shadow can take over parts of your personality in a way that aren't good, and that aren't going to continue to support you and the life that you ultimately want to have. So you want to have a skilled practitioner that's there that works with you, and you want somebody there to work with because you aren't going to want to acknowledge those parts of you. There's a reason why you've hid those parts of you from yourself.
Exactly.
So sometimes we need an external source to I was on Chris Williamson's show for the fourth time recently, and he has this great saying, great therapy is like somebody coming into your house and taking you on a tour of your house and helping you to find a room in the house that you didn't even know existed. That's what great therapy does. Mm-hmm. So you kind of, and that's what shadow work is, right? So don't assume that you can find, there's kind of an arrogance and an omnipotence that some people hold of like, I should be able to self-discover everything under the sun and deal with this by myself. Incorrect. That's fundamentally wrong. We need external support sometimes to really get into the muck with some of these things. And then, I think lastly is exploring what you're genuinely afraid of. What are you afraid of about yourself? What are you afraid of with regards to your anxiety? What are you afraid of with regards to your depression? What are you afraid of with regards to your insecurities? Like, what is the genuine fear that is there? And can you begin to move towards that fear in an incremental way where you systematically reduce the amount of fear that you experience, but also start to develop a higher level of tolerance to those things, and begin to actually welcome certain attributes that you've discarded into the shadow back into your personality. And I don't know what those things are. If you're anxious, it's likely risk-taking and resiliency. That's very, very common, that people that are very anxious are afraid of taking a risk. They're afraid of looking embarrassed. They're afraid of, there's an anxiousness around their internal experience carrying on indefinitely, or, some iteration of that. And so you have to be willing to face some of that fear head on, but you need to do it in an incremental way. The biggest pitfall I see so many men falling into is when they start to do shadow work, they start to turn towards these fears, they start to maybe integrate some anger if they've disconnected from it, or they start to grieve because they've disconnected from it, is they want to do the biggest they expect themselves to do the biggest, most terrifying thing, you know? And so they think that they should be able to be a black belt when they're just starting at the white belt level. And then they shit on themselves for not being able to do that. So just do it incrementally, face the fears incrementally, start to reveal things incrementally, and work with somebody that can sort of guide you through that process of doing it in a step-by-step way so that they don't blow your system out. Because
Mhm.
I do think that with things like shadow work, you can go too fast too soon. You can go too deep too quickly, and uh, that can be harmful.